Carnival Cruise Line doesn't think you know how to read or want to read or even care to read on their cruise ships, and you'd just rather get drunk the whole time. So they're just going to take away some venues on board these ships to make it easier for y'all to get lit. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, and there's some great news for my Royal Caribbean cruisers out there. The newest ship in Royal's fleet just took a huge milestone towards its completion. Let's roll the intro. Welcome to the Midships channel. It's your Captain Corey. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. And Carnival Cruise Line doesn't think you know how to read. I'm being a little bit ridiculous here, but Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, John Heald, posted on his Facebook page this week that the cruise line is no longer planning to include libraries on board their new build cruise ship, saying that they're just not really that used anymore, and the cruise line's going to claw back that space for, you guessed it, more booze. They're going to add more bars. The thing that makes the fun ships, well, it's the booze. You know, the most profitable thing for any cruise line is most definitely the alcohol they're selling you on board the ships. And Carnival's got a plan to sell you some more. And leave it to Carnival to crack down on unruly behavior on their ships by closing libraries so they can serve more alcohol. Are y'all losing your minds over there at Carnival? Like John Heald, did you ever get this information from the higher ups and just look at them and shake your head and say, y'all are dumb? Because when I see a post like this, I shake my head and say, y'all are dumb. You spent the last year and a half trying to crack down on bad behavior on board your fun ships. So much so that you line us up like criminals every time we get on board a Carnival ship. You sniff us up and down for drugs. And we all know the bad behavior doesn't come from them. It comes from the alcohol. And now you're making this announcement. We're going to make more room to sell more alcohol. So if you're a cruise lover looking forward to a quiet hideaway, a library, if you will, a place to maybe play some games, cards, mahjong. I think it's mahjong. If you enjoy maybe just looking out the window, sitting in a quiet place with a loved one, well, you're not going to find it on a Carnival ship anymore, so you might want to be looking elsewhere. There are still other cruise lines producing new ships that come with a library, and look, I get it. Money at the end of the day is what's going to motivate these cruise lines to make the decisions they're making. And with the economy the way it is right now, the cost of labor and goods, they're all the way up here. Well, the cruise lines are going to look to squeeze every dollar they can out of the square footage on board their new ships. It's not surprising. Here's the deal, though. There's so many people on these ships that are going to complain that it takes a long time to get a drink. And I totally get that. I get it. Another bar might help alleviate that problem. The issue comes in you're not staffing enough people at these bars. That's a totally other discussion, but I could see a path to this new library bar. Maybe we'll call it the library bar, making it a little easier for guests to saunter up and get a drink on a whim. You know, one top tip on a Carnival ship, if you're having trouble in the evenings getting a drink in the bar, maybe the Alchemy bar or over at the comedy club, sneak on into the piano bar. There's usually no line for those drinks or a much shorter wait. And you got a great place, a good atmosphere, some good vibes. But let's get back to the story at hand. It's likely that Carnival is going to continue to have that reputation for being a booze cruise, a party cruise that, let's be real, they've earned over the years. And I love me a Carnival cruise. I just don't love them as much lately as I used to, which is kind of sad because, well, now I have a ton of status with them. So oh well. What are your thoughts on all of this about the booze cruises? Are they about to get boozier? Or is it just going to make it a little easier to get your favorite drink on your next cruise? Run down to the comments. Let me know all your thoughts while you're down there. Well, remember, if you've got a cruise coming up, well, maybe you should take a few minutes to prepare ahead of time by checking out everything in the Midships Amazon store. In there, you can see everything I take with me every time I cruise, and I bet you would love some of those items along with you on your next sailing as well. Check it out. There's a link in the description down below. I really appreciate your support. Now let's keep the cruise news moving. We've got some news for you loyal to Royal folks. If you love a good Oasis class cruise ship, well, the last one to ever be built has just floated out of the shipyard over in France. The very last Oasis-class ship. Of course, she's named Utopia of the Seas, and she's now one step closer to her debut in July of next year. The massive ship officially floated out from the Chantiers des Atlantiques shipyard over in France, and it's always an impressive moment when a new giant floats under her own power for the first time. And this marks the very first time this hull for Utopia of the Seas has ever dipped in the water. And the Oasis class, it's full of impressive numbers. It took 15 hours just to fill enough water to float this ship out. That's 46 million gallons of water, to be precise. So now with Utopia of the Seas out and floating, the ship will quickly be transformed into something that looks a lot less like the shell of a cruise ship and more like a beautifully outfitted Oasis-class ship. If you made it this far into today's episode, well, why don't you consider joining the 20,000 other members of the Midships family as a subscriber here on the channel? You're going to find all kinds of fun cruise-related content, lots of good info, and I'd love to have you join us here. While you're down there subscribing, slam that thumbs up button if you think a cruise on Utopia of the Seas is just what the doctor ordered for you. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today, and until tomorrow, you know where you'll find me on the Midships. We'll see ya. La 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 la